What did you learn from the agency world? Like, and what did you...
Don't work at an agency. I would just, if you can skip it, do so.
Actually?
Yeah, look you.
Why? We got a burrito in my tummy and a beer in my mug. No.
Yeah, I got a beer in my mug.
Welcome back to Barely Scraping By. Today we have a special guest. Terrance was a coworker of mine, and I was just telling him prior, he was a hidden little gem in my world because we didn't cross paths too much, but I always knew that I wanted to speak to him more, hear about what was going on behind the scenes, hearing what you were thinking while you're shining bright as the gym that you are. I don't know how I'm on that path. I said that and I can't let go of the fact that I hit it with the gym.
Yeah, no, I'll be a gym, I guess. That's probably a good thing.
You are a gym with the electrolyte water. But Nicole, who's a producer on this podcast as well, is good friends with Terrance and was, I want to say championing. What is the word?
Championing?
I hate that. I hate that I just brought a work word into...
Is that a work word?
Don't people say that about projects?
So, yeah, I guess somebody would be championing a project.
Well,
I guess
I'm championing you.
Yeah. Well, I'm a good champion, so this makes sense.
What can I say? But Terrance left the agency, and he flew away to the writer's world. So I kind of wanted to tap in because he's a writer's assistant and he has the perspective of working at an agency. He has this perspective of working for a writer, and he just has a lot going on behind the scenes. So I kind of wanted to peel back the layers of this onion and kind of dive deep into the world of Terrance. And so with that, I kind of just want to get into you and what got you into the industry and why you're in it. And then as we continue to pedal down, we can start peeling back.
Sure. Why am I in the industry? I want to write. So I think when I was like a kid, I watched a lot of TVs, a lot of movies. It was just like grew up in front of a screen. And then I think maybe when I was in high school, I realized that was like an actual job. Is probably how I would describe it. And so I was like, oh, maybe I could go and do that. And so then, yeah, I don't know. For like a long time, I was like, well, that's like maybe a bit of a pipe dream. I hear how hard it is to like actually do that. I hear how hard it is to get into that industry. I'm like, I'll go try and be a lawyer. I'll go try and, do engineering or something. And after a while, I kind of was just like, I don't really care for either of those things that much. But I really did like writing. I really did like producing and making videos and films and stuff. So it kind of ended up going in that direction. And yeah, I don't know. I just found it to be fun. I found it to be like something that was like a nice way to spend my time. And yeah, I think I just want to do that now.
And then when you moved from the agency world to the actually being in the writer's world, did it confirm that this is what you want to do because you're in that orbit?
I don't think it confirmed it. I think I felt pretty confirmed already. I think I was just like during college, like kind of discovering that as my craft or whatever of like, I'm going to write. I like writing. I was pretty confirmed in, and I was kind of like dead set on it. Like probably by the time I was like a sophomore in college. And weirdly, that has not waned, which I've always found myself to be like a person that like kind of picks up stuff and puts it down pretty quickly. So I don't know. Maybe that's just a testament to that. And maybe, I don't know, one day I will be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
What was it that sophomore year of college that confirmed and that hasn't let you put it down since?
So, after, I think I took my first screenwriting class as a freshman, which was like I just got lucky, like getting into a class or whatever. There's like, at my school, there was like one screenwriting class or intro screenwriting class because it's not like a big focus. And it's like a 15-person class, and it's usually full. And like everybody else gets in through lottery. And I was like, got really lucky and got in through the lottery. I think there were like 2 slots for like the lottery. There's like probably like 40, 50 people in the classroom. And I just found out that I was like kind of good at it. Like, I don't know, my teacher was like pretty happy with my writing. And I was like, oh, I'm like kind of good at this. I feel like I'm doing good at this. And then I kept doing it. And then sophomore year, I was like kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely following this. Like, I continued to do so, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I started like doing some production stuff, and I just decided, yeah, I think this is kind of the path I want to go down.
What do you mean to be good at this? Like, oh, I realized I was good at this. Like, what did that mean to you in that moment? And what does that mean to you now? Because I feel like when you find the shoe that fits, like Cinderella, and you finally find like where your skills are like best suited. Like, I know that's me in production and producing. Like, what was making you feel good in those moments?
It was just like I I think I was getting like encouragement from like the right people. But at the same time, I just like found myself engaging with like, other people's work, seeing what other people were doing. And I was just like, oh, like, I think this sounds bad. This sounds like maybe a bit big headed, but I was just like, oh, I think I'm doing a bit better than what these other people are doing. I think this is like my stuff is a bit more original. Again, that sounds cocky as fuck. But
original. I'm just better than you bitches.
Right. It's like, yeah, kind of. It was like, oh, like shit. Like, I don't know. This is like kind of good. Like, I don't know. There's something happening here that I'm not seeing in other people's work. And I think that kind of got confirmed throughout the years since of like, I think like a big note I've always gotten, even when my writing was not like the best, I guess, was that my voice was clear. It was clear that I had an idea of what I was trying to say. And so I think I've just like kind of held to that, and kind of like refined some of that stuff. And I don't know, I guess there's just like a confidence I have, which is probably good for me.
No, of course it is. The writing world is so foreign to me. I have mad respect for the people who do it, but I have not a lick of interest to do it myself because I feel like I can't piece together a cohesive story for the life of me. If you said write a story or die, I think I would die. Like I just can't, like it's just not in me, or maybe that's confirmation bias where I'm just telling myself I can't. But oh my God, I was talking and then I lost a voice. I'm just doubling down on the writing thing. Now I'm just I'm intrigued, but what does that mean to have a clear voice within your writing?
I guess like a clear voice in writing is just that you have a story to tell, that you have a perspective, something that is maybe not necessarily unique, but maybe it's like unique by the way that you dictate it. It's just you kind of sound like yourself. And I guess that's like the most important thing is to be yourself when you write something. I think that's like maybe what people struggle with. I think sometimes it's like people don't have like a self that they've tied themselves to or something to that degree. And I think you can tell that sometimes. That's kind of where the voice is like lacking. When you read that script, that's like, there's like kind of nothing here. This is a story. Maybe it's even put together really well, but like, this is so bland. Like I kind of don't care.
I'm like now just going down the rabbit hole. Voice, they what do you mean they don't have a self? They're not tying them. Like, what does that mean?
Everybody has a self, you know what I mean? Like, it's just how in tune with that self are you? And can you, I guess mediate that to other people is the question.
Got it. Fascinating. And then right now, since you're working with other people's stories, how have you learned to aid the overall narrative versus inserting your personal perspective? And then how do you stay true to someone else's voice?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess it's just like, I think like a lot of writing is mimicking. And so part of it is that it's not necessarily that you're staying true to someone else's voice. It's like you kind of have to imbue your voice into the other person's voice, if that makes sense.
Fascinating.
So if I'm working with another person or like giving notes on somebody's script, I can come and tell you, I'm like, okay, I don't think this, and this is working, or I think I'm not liking this, or this part of the story is not hitting, and I know this is supposed to be like a big reveal or something. So I guess like what I'm telling them in that sense is like, here is how I would say this thing, Here's how I would convey this emotion that you're trying to get to, right? And so like I think like a big part of it then is, okay, I have my voice or whatever, and you have your voice. So it's not necessarily that I'm copying your voice. It's that I'm going to kind of diagnose through my voice what your voice is attempting to get. Yeah.
Interesting. This is like a foreign world. I'm following you, but like I literally have no lick of writing background in me. So I'm like a little baby learning your world, and I'm feeling like a first grader and you're like a high schooler, and I'm like learning from the big dogs. Like that's what it feels like over here. And then curiosity gets the best of me and I derail and just ask question after question.
I'm not the big dog. I'm 23. No, wait, I'm 24.
Today you are. Today you are in my world. If someone has a lick of knowledge of anything that I don't have, I'm like, you are the expert in my eyes. But doubling down on the voice, doubling down on your voice, I really want to know so much about. Like, what is your voice in your writing, and how did you find it?
What is my voice? I guess it's like, I don't know. My perspective is like, I like grew up poor in Florida, like as like a mixed race child. Like, you know, my dad is black and my mom is white. And my dad wasn't around that much. My mom got remarried a bunch. So I had like a lot of different families, and I grew up kind of very differently than, I guess, I mean, obviously there are people that I share a lot in common with, but like, especially in this industry, and then like at school, like I was definitely around a lot of people that like did not share my background by any means. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. So it's just like, I think my voice is clear to me just because in the noise of like everybody else, it's like I do feel so different, and maybe that's like conceited of me in like a fucked up way, but like
you're beautiful.
thank you. But I think that is kind of it. Is like my voice is like kind of just like an extension of who I am, and like kind of an extension of being in touch with like who I am and how I grew up and like my background and my life. That's kind of how I would say it. It's like it's almost repetition. Like I think I would go so far as to say most of the stories I write, I have a hand in it somehow. And oftentimes it's like, you know, a couple degrees removed. Like I'm not trying to I don't want to be autobiographical. That's not fun for me. Like that doesn't feel very creative, which is not, I'm not saying that as an absolute. I think you can have a creative autobiographical piece or whatever. But for me, like when I'm writing stories in their fiction stories, it's like, yeah, I want to kind of create something new. But it, you know, ultimately it's reliant on my experience and my, you know, my life.
When you said that you always felt a little bit different than everyone, especially in school, how did you not get lost in the shuffle? How did you not like lose parts of yourself? Like from the sounds of it, it sounded like you kind of held on to the fact that you did have these differences and you learned to like move with them. Like how did you not find yourself just getting lost with all the rest?
You know, I don't think, how do I put it? Like, I don't think it's like possible. Like, I don't know, maybe this is a little philosophical or whatever, but it's like, I don't think it's like possible for me to have like gotten lost. It's like whatever I did take from other people, you know what I mean? Whatever experiences I did gain from like other people, people that I am, you know, deeming not like me or whatever, that's just also a part of me, you know? So it's not so much that like, I don't think I could have gotten lost. I think it's just, this is who I am to some degree or another. And it's like, that is an influence as well. You know, we are a product of our environments.
100%. Damn, how beautiful. No, I think that's the beauty of writing, why I have such respect for people who do write and devote their life to it, because there's something that you can bring into a story that, you know, that attaches to your life, and it brings out a part of yourself, and it can talk to your 5-year-old self, your 10-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, your 20-year-old self, like all these parts of yourself that you can bring in a story that, and that make those parts of yourself feel seen. And kind of like give homage to them, and like you're tipping your hat to like what was, and now you are who you are.
Yeah, of course I'm tipping the hat to what was, right? It's just like, okay, I don't know, like I'm like, what was middle school like for me? Like that's fun, right? Like that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
I'm like tipping the hat to like what could be the possible future, you know what I mean? Like here's me reckoning with like my past, and here's like what could happen tomorrow. Like, you know, I think that's a fun thing to kind of explore as well. But yeah, you know, I'm just kind of piecing my life together, and kind of, you know, I don't know. Yeah, that trailed off. That's okay though.
We could trail off. I've had plenty of trail offs and restarts, but before I start going in like more, because I want to hear more about your writing and where you are now, I kind of want to get into the beginning of first job, what you learned from that, and now you're in your next job, and kind of hearing about your career path thus far, and then
Right.
See, I just trailed off. I hit it with an and then had nothing to say.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. How did I end up in the industry, right? Okay, so kind of told a little bit about it before, like, you know, I went to school, I started doing like the screenwriting stuff, and then I was like, okay, like, how do you actually write stuff or whatever? And it's like, oh, you got a network. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess I'll go like talk to people. So I just started taking internships or whatever over summers and stuff, and it was like various internships, mostly doing like coverage, doing like development internships. I worked for this like a 60-second like documentary thing or whatever. I don't know. That was dumb. But
You reflecting right now?
Yeah.
This is reflection mode.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I need to have an internship. And I was like, I don't know if that's ever made a difference. I guess I did some coverage in that too, so that taught me a little something. I don't know. It was kind of boring. Anywho, so I did that, and then next year I took another internship, and I did it with someone named Lauren Corral, who used to work at like Comedy Central and Freeform. She was like a big exec there, and then she kind of went and did her own thing. So I was interning with her. And some point during our internship, she was like, have you guys thought about working at an agency? And I was like, hell no. Like, I don't want to do that. It sounds like it sucks. And then she kind of tricked me into believing that I should try and work for an agency. That's what I'm blaming it on her, to be honest with you.
The worst decision of my life was doing that.
Yeah. It was awful. Yeah, it really sucked because now I'm a writer's assistant, which, is just an awful job. Blah.
She sucks. She sucks. Whoever she was.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So I think it was like my senior year or whatever, and came and did like a talk at my university, and they were like, "Oh, hey, I don't know." It was like the previous HR lady. She don't work at anymore, but I wasn't there. I was doing some other shit, but. A friend of mine who did the internship with me that summer was like, oh, I went to this, and I talked to her, and she was like, come join our externship. And she was like, you should just like pretend you were there and like email her. And so I did, and she was like, you should join our externship. And I was like, maybe I'll get a job out of this. Because it's like senior year, I don't know what your experience was as like in school or whatever, but like senior year, you're like, okay, fuck, now I got to get a job. Like, I need to figure that out, like, sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. All hands on deck, full steam ahead, all gas, no brakes. We're speeding down the highway.
And, like, the fucked part is, like, most of my friends are, like, did, like, I don't know, they did, like, CS and math and physics and shit. And so they all got their jobs, like, a year before. Like, and so I'm, like, they're all, like, chilling. They're like, oh, it's senior year. I'm, like, I'm kicking back, like, just finishing this whatever capstone project or whatever the fuck. And I'm just, like, I still gotta find a job. So I started doing this externship or whatever, and in the midst of that, like...
What's the difference between an internship and an externship?
An externship is... Like, an internship, you actually come and do work. An externship is, like, you don't do any work, and they, like, people just talk to you in the company, and they tell you how things go. At least that's how it was. Yeah. So it was more like a bunch of informational sessions that I did. But out of that, I was able to get, like, a little a part-time job before I graduated. And so I was doing coverage for them. And when I got hired to do that, I was like, hey, can I want to get a full-time job. Like, I'm coming, like, I'm about to graduate. And the head of HR at the time, she was like, oh, like, call me back in a month and we'll see what happens.
They love that shit. They love to call. They love to come back to me in X amount of time.
Yeah. Come back to me in a month, and I'm like, okay, cool. So, a little reminder in my calendar. I email her at like maybe like I don't know. It's probably like 12:30 or some shit, like East Coast time. And she emails me back in like 10 minutes. Is like, do you have time for a call? And I was like, yeah. And she called me right away, and she was like, hey. And then I've spoken to her like 3 or 4 times now, like do the externship, do the part-time job, a bunch of other shit, right? And she's like, hey. So
not the voice change.
She's like, hey,
hey,
like, I know you want a full-time job, like, like, so what do you want to do again? And I tell her, and I'm like, and she's like, okay, cool. And she's like, you want to work at an agency? I'm just like, yeah, of course I want to work in an agency. It's my dream. Like, I know I want to write. I mentioned that as well. And she's like, okay, and do you have any idea like where, like what location you want to be at? And I'm like, I think LA was what I told her. And then she was like, okay, look, I'll get back to you like later this week or something. I got to talk to other people. We'll see. But you seem, she was like, we're excited about you or something of that nature. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. She called me back that night at like, I don't know what it was, like 9 p.m. And she was just like, all right, we're ready to offer you the job. Like, I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. Which is just nice. Cause like, I don't know, talking to other people at like they did like rounds and rounds of interviews, and I didn't know it. Well, I guess I kind of did rounds of interviews, but I didn't really. Like, I had a couple phone calls. You know what I mean? Like minute-long phone calls.
Mine was very similar.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I was just like I was stuck on the woman on HR who used to work there. Like, I would not let her loose. Like, she gave me an inch, and I held on. Like, my life depended on it. I got her email. I've told this story a million times. I got her email, and I emailed her every 2 weeks.
We're talking about the same person?
Blonde hair. Yeah. And
That's really
she literally, I like would not let her let me go. And she called me up and was like, Claire, we're on a hiring freeze because I graduated September of 23. She's like, we're not hiring. You gotta chill. And she left the company and I had a Zoom with her. She's like, let's set up a Zoom. And she was like, I was relentless. She's like, you were relentless. But hey, I held on for the life of me. Yeah. I did not give up. So I see you. I had like a minute, couple conversations with her, and then so I had a similar.
Well, so yeah. Speaking of that, I got really lucky because I graduated in May 23. And that phone call where I got the job was in April, and so this is like weeks before the writer's strike. So like when I get hired, I'm like one of the last hires for months. You know what I mean? You
were working at during the strikes? I need to hear about that.
Yeah. I started like, I graduated like May 28th or some shit like that, and I started June 3rd or 5th or something like that. I think I moved to LA like 2 days after I graduated.
And you went to school on the East Coast, right?
I did go to school on the East Coast.
Yeah, so you had to get from the East Coast to the West Coast.
So I just like flew in like 4 big suitcases with my mom. And
That's adorable.
Yeah,
that is adorable.
Yeah, I just bought a bunch of shit when I got here. Huh?
Achieving your dream.
Yeah. It was cool. It's like, I don't know, my family like pulled in together to like help me like actually like get a place out here, like put a down payment on a house or like an apartment and shit. Like, I was living in like a 3-bedroom with like people I met on Facebook. Like, again, because like most of the people like I knew ended up going to New York, and so like all my friends I mentioned like that are doing like CS and stuff, like they're in New York, they're in DC. Most people stay on the East Coast, which I kind of don't blame them.
Why did you pick LA over New York?
Because I wanted to be a writer, and everybody tells you if you want to be a writer, don't go to New York. Like, come to LA. Like, that's where the writing jobs are. That's where rooms are. That's where all this stuff is.
Oh, that makes sense.
Which I don't think is like 100% completely and utterly true, but I think they have a good point. It is mainly out here, and it's like you're mainly going to get those writer's assistants, those showrunning assistant jobs from being out here, you know?
I just spilled a little bit of my beer. I piddled.
That's okay.
That was so genuine. It like I drank it a little too fast, and then it like just piddled out of my cup. And now it's on my book. It's on my book. And so so you move out here to LA. Yeah. You get out here within like what, a couple days from the end of May to the beginning of June, and then all hands on deck. You start the job.
Yeah, sure. It was all hands on deck. No, it wasn't all hands on deck. It was a floater, and the strike was going on, so there was not shit happening. So I was like pretending to work. I was just like reading scripts for like all the clients had, and like asking the other assistants like, what script should I read? And then the other part of it was like I was like not in the same room with the TV lit department. Like I was just in a room off to the side.
You're in the annex?
I was in the annex. Yeah. So I was in the annex.
It's like a little separate room and a whole different part of TV.
And this was before like digital got there, so it was just like me. And then who was in there? It was who was assistant, and then what's her name? And then who was his assistant, and then this guy who used to, you can cut out these names or bleep them or whatever.
I know exactly who he is. Is he the one that's friends with?
Probably, but it was 4 of us. You know what I mean? Like in that room, and then like the 2 or 3 agents. This one lady, I think she did like PR. She died like a month after I got there, which is crazy.
Yes, I heard about that. Where the head of PR sits now. They're like, she died in that room.
That's kind of fucked up. But yeah, she just like died over the weekend, and I was like, oh, it's kind of scary. I was like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I kind of had like.
Shit. Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine.
That
it's
got
fine.
me off. Shit. Okay.
So I was doing like the floater thing for like 2 months and like nothing. Like I just didn't have anything to do because no one was like taking time off. And
pretended to like
yeah, I was like, yeah.
You're like pretending.
I was like hoping someone would notice how good I am at pretending to answer phones. That was the idea. But
why is this making me laugh? It's like you're LARPing.
Yeah. I was like, again,
I have a tear running down my face.
I would just like kind of be like fucking around and like, yeah, as I said, like reading scripts, and then I would just like find books to read because I was like, I'm bored, like, and I just gotta like sit here, like, I mean, like there would be some days where I would just be like, I would just call like the coordinator and be like, hey, I'm gonna work from home today. I feel sick or whatever. I was not feeling sick. I just was like, fuck it, like, because I was like, what's the difference? I guess every now and again I would get coverage, which I would just work on it mad slow so they wouldn't give me more. Which I think kind of worked, to be quite honest with you.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that lasted for however long. But then like 2 months later, I got on a desk and I started working for this agent in the TV department. And I worked for him for a while. Like, I don't know, like after like 7 months, he's like, so I know you want to find a new job. My wife's about to have a kid and I'm going to take some time off. Like, could you like find a job before then or like wait like another 6 months to find a job? And I was like, how about we find a job right now? And he was like, okay, I'll help you. And so
Sweet setup.
Yeah. No, like he was mean, but like he was like kind of a good mentor. I'll say that, which is like kind of weird. I don't know. People are contradictions. So there's that. But yeah, so I started looking for a job or whatever. And he was just like, yeah, go get drinks with everybody you email. And he was like, start looking for jobs or whatever. Tell everybody you're looking for a job, that kind of thing. And so I did that. And then I got a couple interviews, but none of that ultimately got me my job. I just was like, it was just like random. Because my current boss started a new show or whatever, and her old assistant got bumped up to the writer's assistant for the room. So she needed a new assistant, and her agent was like, Terrance, you're the guy for the job. Like, you want to interview for this? And I was like, of course I want to interview for this. Like, I fucking love this woman. Like, like her writing is like really awesome. Like she's written on a bunch of projects that I fuck with, like heavy. Like her episodes are some of my favorite episodes of the shows or whatever. And so I was like,
name some of those shows. Can you do? Yeah.
Sure.
You don't have to, because now it's just like it's a. Terrance works for a sick writer, very very sick writer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not gonna say it because I feel like it's uncouth. But
you don't have to. Ooh, I like that word. Uncouth.
Yeah, I got a lot of big words over here. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a writer. I don't know if you guys were listening.
I don't know if you've heard that a million. Take a shot every single time we say writer.
Yeah, exactly. You will die.
What does uncouth mean?
Uncouth? I don't know. Like just.
I'm like,
oh my god! Now I have to explain words. Oh fuck!
Oh shit! Stop.
I don't even know what that word means. You found me out.
Oh, just saying shit. Just saying shit.
No, just like I don't know. I guess like impolite, but like maybe like. Is
that bad to talk about the project she works on?
No, it's not bad. No, she like I don't know. She's like worked on like Atlanta and What We Do in the Shadows, and that'll be really easy to find out who she is now. So fuck it, whatever. I don't care that much.
He does care. He just pretends not to.
Right. But yeah, I got a job with her, which was really cool because she just like came in, or like, I know again her agent was like, "Do you want to do this?" And he was like, "I'll get you an interview," and I was like, "Hey, cool." And he was like, "They're moving really fast," and so I think the interview got scheduled on a Thursday. The next day was the interview. I did the interview. Like I think like 45 minutes later, I got the call that I got the job, and she was like, "Can you start Monday?" And so then that was, I never came back to. Which I did have some trinkets there that I kind of wanted to collect, but it's fine.
Wait, what? Because I used to go to desk all the time. Are there trinkets still there?
Yeah, but I don't think I should say what they are. I may have taken some things. That's all I will say.
There are some little fun things, and then the desk by there's all these little fun little trinkets.
Yeah, there's stuff in there. Like if you're an enterprising individual, you might be able to make use of them.
Actually,
perhaps.
What do you have? Like little like.
I'm not saying.
Well, I'll look on Monday and I'll take a little peek.
Yeah, take a look. If you find something in there, you're like, wow, this is old. This looks like it was supposed to go to somebody.
This looks like super sick. What did you learn from the agency world? Like, and what did you?
Don't work at an agency. I would just, if you can skip it, do so.
Actually?
Yeah, low key. Like,
why?
No, maybe that's not true. Like, do like an internship at like an agency, and then I think you'll get everything that way, and then I think you could move on to another. If you can really skip the agency stuff, I would very much recommend doing so.
Why?
I don't think it's that worth it. Like, especially in today's day and age, like, I got my job through the agency, but that was real lucky. You know what I mean? Like that was real lucky is all I'm going to say. And I don't know. I think like the stress is like maybe not completely, not really worth it. And you also just have like, you can get some good connections from working at an agency, but like, I think you could just like get better connections if you just go straight to like a studio or like a network, or if you're going the production company route, like a company that's actually making stuff. If you can get a job with them, just do that. I wouldn't go to an agency.
Interesting, because I feel the complete opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel the complete opposite from my POV. Yeah. I just feel like every single deal that gets made comes to an agency, so you get to just understand the like nucleus of the industry, and then you can kind of run out from. Reason, huh? But I also see it from a writer's. Like I see it from a writer. Yeah. Specifically, then let me rephrase that. Specifically, if you want to be a creative, like in any fashion, like if you're trying to be a writer or director, or an actor for that matter, like I would not go to the agency. Interesting. Yeah. Switching gears to the writing, do you feel like note cards time?
No cards.
No, because
she's so prepared, guys.
I am. I literally am. I am. Do you feel like the writing is accessible to you? Accessible? I always want to say accessible. It reads like that. No, it doesn't.
No one can tell you how to pronounce words.
Love that.
Like someone could tell you how to pronounce it, but then you could just tell them like I don't give a fuck, and then pronounce it how you want to.
Accessible.
Yeah, accessible.
Do you feel like writing is accessible to you in your current role? Do you write more when you were at the agency compared to now?
No, I write a lot more now. Well, by virtue of this job, I do have a lot of free time, which is nice. And I work from home, which is just kind of like compounds a bit. But like working at the agency, like, I don't know, you're just there for so long. It's kind of like dumb. I guess you would be there if you were like a studio network as well. Like, but I think you just like try and find time to do it anyway, which is what I did. And like, I had some success in writing stuff while I was there, but definitely having more success now in my current job prospect, I guess.
Is the reality of your current work what you initially envisioned? Because I feel like the writers I do know, I always hear writer's assistant. Like, this is the coveted position. This is like literally the gym. Like,
yeah, I'm really lucky. I'll say that.
But like, do you think, is it what you envisioned? Because I feel like before I got into the industry, I envisioned it so much differently, especially the agency world. Like, I thought when a deal would get made, like the windows would shake and the floor would rumble. And I thought everyone would have a big personality and be hollering at each other, like, and then actually it's just a normal office and there is some tension at times, but it's not like, what did you think versus what the reality of it is?
Honestly, I kind of thought it would go like how it's going, to be honest. Just in the sense that, like, I don't know, when I was at the agency, it was like, I just expected it to be like an office with a bit of yelling, and that was kind of what it was. And then as a writer's assistant, I mean, like, I had spoken to other writer's assistants before, or showrunners assistants before, just kind of to figure out what they're doing. And, everybody tells you to, talk to the execs, but you should also talk to their assistants. So that's what I was doing. And, I don't know. I just kind of going into it was kind of what I expected. And, like, I don't know, having time to write, having kind of being encouraged to do so. I think writers, like, at the showrunner level who are having assistants are also kind of, like, looking for people to, bring up with them to some degree or another. I think there are some writers that are not doing that. But it seems like I think a good many of them are interested in bringing people up, interested in making a connection with someone, like younger, early on in their career to continue, like, a working relationship with. Interesting.
Fascinating. And then I know that AI's chatted about a lot. Have you been able to see a real-time effect of that in your world?
I don't know what AI is.
Oh, how refreshing. God damn, how refreshing. What is AI? What is it?
Yeah, do you want to teach me about it?
I could bring you through. I could sit you down and bring out a whiteboard and teach it to you.
Yeah, you know about LLMs. Look, AI, I don't know. I guess people use it. Like, I think it's fine. I don't think it's... I don't personally want to use it, and I don't think like studios and networks should be doing that, but I don't know. It's not that good. Like,
it lacks the voice. Back to what you said.
It lacks the voice.
Yeah, it's back to bring it full.
Let's talk about it.
You fuck.
Yeah,
it lacks the voice that I don't tie myself to. Slam poetry.
Yeah.
No voice in AI. AI lacks voice. And then
kind of though. I
it
think that is
does.
kind of a good way to put it. I don't know. It's just like I think like you can even probably get AI to write like a decent script, at least structure wise and like story wise. But like I think you're probably gonna lose out on that voice. I don't think it's gonna sound like unique that particularly interesting. I don't know. Maybe in like 10 years that won't be the case. I don't know. I'm not terribly concerned about it. I think people kind of do value art made by humans. I think a lot of people also don't, but
Interesting. And this is just a fun little question on my end. Is there a story that feels like a guilty pleasure to write? Something that might not be for anyone else but yourself?
All of my stories are that. I write for myself.
Oh.
I'm my first audience.
Oh, interesting. So everything feels like a guilty pleasure. Like you're just indulging.
Maybe. I think there maybe are some stuff that's like a little bit more like completely and utterly personal. I think like the first like pilot I wrote is probably that. It's just like the idea of it was just like, what if I went home after college instead of coming to here in Los Angeles, and like what would my life look like, being back at home and kind of interacting with my family and kind of having to hash out those dynamics, because like I think like a large part of me, I went to school in Rhode Island, and so like a large part of me was like, let me go far away so I can like kind of get away from where I grew up and my family and stuff. And so I'm like kind of interested in what that looks like.
Are you still close with your family? Like, are they?
Yeah. I'm close with my family. I talk to them often enough, Yeah.
Arm's length. My family's amazing, but a lot of large personalities. So when I go back home, I feel like I'm like a child again, and I'm thrown back in there, and then I'm like
that's kinda
yelling
how I
and
feel
screaming,
too.
and I'm like, I'm not a yeller. I'm not well.
I know.
And then I go back home, I'm like, bah, 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 like popping off. To end this is fun. So you know how our last guest was Jalen, and I did tell him that you were coming on next.
Okay.
And so at the end of every episode, this guest is going to ask the next guest the question. Mm-hmm. But usually y'all don't know each other in this dynamic. Alex, and Jalen knows you. So I asked Jalen to ask you a question.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I did reveal that it was you. So his question to you is, why are you so perfect? And for context, his question was, what do you fear most in life, like in career and life? And so he had to answer a super existential, difficult question, and he hit you with why are you so perfect?
Why am I so perfect?
And you have to answer this. You can't hit it with a whatever. You have to answer that question.
First, I will say I'm not perfect, but in what I recognize from Jalen, and I've been working on this with my therapist. You kind of have to understand. If you have to understand that people will say things, but they're trying to. Language is hard, so they're trying to maybe elucidate a thought that is not so perfectly captured by language. Because feelings are complex. So I don't think I'm perfect, but in the sense of trying to understand what Jalen is trying to get at with that. Why am I so perfect? I just think like I try to value and respect everybody. That's my goal in life to some degree or another. I don't know. I want to hold space for people that don't have space. I want to create space for people that don't have space. And I desire to be a person that is like good to others. And I don't know if I always do that, but I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying my hardest. Yeah.
Really
So
beautifully
there
said.
you go.
That's really beautiful said. Like when.
Can we end on something funny?
Well, the last thing on something funny is you have to ask Alex the next question. So what do you want to leave with her? Any question you want.
Alex, what is your favorite memory?
I like that.
Isn't that fun?
I like that. In general,
Yeah, just generally speaking, what's your favorite memory? Pick something. Just the first thing that comes to your head. Don't think about it too long.
That's beautiful. I love that
Thank
question.
you.
You're taking this home with you so you can remember
Awesome.
how perfect you are. Terrance, truly, it was such a pleasure. I was giggling, gaffing. I was here with you on this journey of your life. And I'm excited I was able to peel back a layer of Terrance, because I feel like I wasn't able to see a lot of you at work because we just missed each other. So I'm happy to have you back in my orbit and sharing your story on Barely Scraping By. So thank you for coming, and thank you for chatting.
Thanks, everybody.
And yapping and gabbing. With that, think about it. Why are you so perfect?
Yeah. Think about that.
Ta-da!